Have you ever noticed how those pleas for attention can turn the respect others have for you into a shadow? This quest for validation creates a destructive cycle. By submitting to the desire to be accepted, you become a smaller version of yourself. Looks of disdain become all too common. Each yes you give, even when you should be asserting yourself with a no, chips away at your personal value. Thus, you become a puppet, manipulated by applause that never satisfies. Picture yourself in a meeting. Egos clash, each one trying to take up space, but you hesitate and shrink back. What happens? Respect disappears. Notice the difference. When you assert yourself, others pull back. When you submit, they move forward. Machiavelli said, "It is better to be feared than loved." You don't have to be a tyrant, but respecting yourself is essential. When your voice becomes an echo, you encounter disdain. The attention of others will never equal genuine respect. The validation you yearn for cannot be found in the shadows, but in the clarity of who you truly are. Now understand this. You must stop seeking others' approval as if it reflects your worth. Self-awareness begins with a question. Why am I trying to please? Every time you bend, your dignity crumbles. Self-validation is your only shield. When you reaffirm yourself, respect comes naturally. You don't need to shout to be heard. Your presence should be enough. Confronting that need for approval takes courage, and that courage emerges when you realize that people respect authenticity. Encourage that within yourself. Stop yielding. Stop subjecting your voice to fear. The moment you decide not to hide, the shadows dissipate. Respect arises. Everything you need is in your willingness to assert yourself. Reclaim your power and your essence. When you value yourself, others have no choice but to recognize it. You shouldn't present yourself as a pleading request, but as a clear affirmation of who you really are. Your presence becomes a magnet. Remember, respecting yourself is the first rule of authority. But before we continue, take a moment to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and activate the notification bell. But only if you truly appreciate what I'm doing here. I'm preparing a series of videos specifically to guide you on your journey of self-discovery and personal growth. Having said that, let's move on. You see yourself in a world where authenticity is celebrated, but the truth is quite different. The relentless quest for attention creates an illusion. That need for acceptance, just a veil covering fragility. As Machiavelli said, appearances can be deceiving. Do you think your sincere gesture will guarantee respect? Think again. What you call authenticity might just be a mask, a strategy to fit into the game, and that's not synonymous with power. Now understand this. True authenticity doesn't seek applause. It demands a brutal self-assessment. Do you have a habit of pleasing, even when your inner voice screams no? That weakens your position. You become merely a bystander, waiting for the recognition that never arrives. What do you want? To be liked or to be respected? Once again, Machiavelli teaches us that it's better to be feared than loved. Fear can be controlled, while love is fickle and fleeting. Active listening is key. Listen to what your inner voice says. When you really listen, you pick up not just words but hidden feelings, disguised fears, and the need to control. Ask questions. Confront superficiality. By developing this skill, you gain an advantage. Respect flourishes when you place yourself first and refuse to accept less than you deserve. Look around you. How many people act like shadows, seeking approval? I bet you felt like one of them. Notice, the discomfort in a meeting or the way people look at you when you don't assert yourself are clear signs. When you stand tall, others shrink away. Posture matters. What you project can either generate respect or disdain. Your essence must be strong. Self-assertion is not egocentrism, it's realism. You finally realize that this need for external validation is a trap. When you acknowledge your value, the world begins to align. Your self-respect shines like a beacon. And when you value yourself, others are compelled to reflect that. So what role are you playing in this narrative? Sometimes it's necessary to step out of the frame and unveil your true self. Genuine respect isn't earned, it's your birthright. When you stop being a copy and embrace your individuality, others are forced to recognize that. Ask yourself, are you truly ready for this transformation? Have you ever felt trapped in a cycle of manipulation? Others have spun a web around you, making your movements guided by their interests. This web is invisible, but its consequences are clear. You find yourself struggling to assert who you are, and every effort feels futile. Respect slips away, like water through your fingers, and you've become a puppet in the balance of power. Now understand this. Silence can be one of your most powerful weapons. When everyone is talking at once to grab attention, what do? You become silent. Each pause is a display of control. Machiavelli once said, "It's the appearance of power that ensures respect." In a noisy world, silence resonates. It generates curiosity, provokes discomfort, and above all, disarms manipulators. You must be the calming force amid the turmoil. Observe. In any interaction, keep your perceptions sharp. While others reveal their intentions through gestures and words, you need to look deeper. Capture the subtleties, the hesitations, the fleeting glances. Where there is manipulation, there are signs. The body tightens and the voice falters. Every glance diverted is a clue. Let go of the need to constantly please. By holding back your responses, who gains control? Now, you. And this shift in dynamics is palpable. Don't submit. When someone tries to dictate your value, be the powerful silence. Set clear boundaries. Don't be the person who says yes when you really want to shout no. That no should echo in your actions, in your posture. A subtle yet firm gesture can be enough to interrupt the manipulation. By implementing observational strategies akin to those of Sun Tzu, you become not just more aware but uncompromising. Notice what is unsaid. Claim the space that others perceive as secure. Silence is your armor, and observation is the blade that cuts. If you become merely an echo, what is left for you? Acknowledge that true power lies in self-validation. From the moment you respect yourself, that respect reflects back from others. The labyrinth of manipulation can be unraveled. The web is not insurmountable. Every move you make should be assertive. With every step you take, manipulators hesitate. The respect you seek begins within you. Be the agent of change. Submission disguises itself as sweetness, but what seems like a friendly gesture destroys your relationships. Have you ever been in a circle of friends, laughing at jokes, yet deep down felt that you don't belong? Every time you agree to something you dislike, a piece of your dignity shatters. It's not just your opinion that fades, it's your very essence that evaporates. When you say maybe while wanting to shout no, what are you actually doing? Silent jokes behind your back. Contempt seeps in like smoke, and even if you wear a smile, the truth is that every yes becomes a sign of weakness. Respect behaves like a wild animal. When you bend, it backs away. Machiavelli teaches us that it is better to be feared than loved, but you turned toward love and forgot to care. Don't be fooled. Respect is earned through firmness. Now understand this. Submission only exists where there is a leader to exploit. By submitting to the desire to be liked, you surrender your power, allowing others to lead the dance while you become a mere spectator. Pay attention to how others assert themselves. In meetings, there are always those who fill the space with their voices. Do you feel it? The weight of what's unsaid, the tension in the air. Every time you hesitate, you come across like a shadow. Who ends up taking action? Don't reverse the roles. When you feel like you're losing ground, reclaim your posture. Pull your shoulders back and be present. Confidence is not a prize you seek, it's armor you already wear. Start setting boundaries. A firm no leads to respect, and each no should be said assertively, as if there's no room for debate. Do you now see the power of silence? It resonates amid the noise. When everyone is talking at once, keep calm and remain silent. Your presence will become a beacon in the chaos. What you hear is crucial. Every murmured word of compliance leads to a quiet distancing. Look around you. How many are ready to exploit that weakness? You allow your friends or colleagues to do this, but what do you gain from it? No true relationship is built on the quicksand of subservience. Every time you lower yourself, people see opacity, not illumination. Respect is a two-way street. If you present yourself as a needy person, The usual response is disdain. Reclaim your value. By embracing your truth, you won't need to plead for respect. It will be inevitable. Your authenticity acts like a magnet. When you rise and declare, "I deserve this," the universe responds. This transformation isn't a caprice, it's a necessity. By manifesting that truth, you restore your lost dignity, proving that any attempted manipulation against you is futile. After all, every step you take towards self-assertion redefines your relationships, and the shadows of submission no longer belong in your life. Have you ever felt paralyzed by criticism, that cold stare, the sharp word? This is the dilemma of lost respect. Self-confidence is your most powerful shield, but how do you transform suffering into strength? Now understand this. Your pain can be a crown, not a prison. The key lies in your perspective. A room full of faces might seem oppressive, but remember, you are there to shine, not to hide. When those heavy stares land on you, take a deep breath. This is not just a challenge, it's an opportunity. Every critique is a chance to shape your internal narrative. As Machiavelli said, appearances can be deceiving, and that's the truth. Self-confidence isn't about being loved, it's about being seen as unshakable. Have you ever questioned the internal wars you've fought? Many struggle against their own demons, doubts and insecurities. These feelings are embedded thorns, but each thorn can serve as a reminder of your strength. By facing them, you resurrect your true self. But how does that happen in practice? Let's look at some strategies. One of them is self-assertion. Say no when you genuinely want to. Each refusal is a step toward reclaiming control. Transform fear into action. Do you feel that hesitation before you speak up? That's the initial battle. At the center of it is you recognizing your truth, and that generates respect. Now, the emotional twist. What do you really desire? Do you prefer fleeting approval or the firmness of being respected? The choice is yours. When you take control of your narrative, respect returns. Start viewing your experiences as a battleground. Every word you speak is a victory. And every awkward silence offers a chance to reaffirm yourself as the author of your own story. The next time you find yourself in the eye of the storm, remember, those gazes may be challenging, but they also present fertile ground for self-confidence. Are you ready to rise up and claim your place? Because true power lies in your readiness to change how those around you perceive you. And one question lingers in the air. How will you do that today? Have you ever felt the pain of begging for respect? When your words turn into pleas, the dynamics shift. You become smaller. People start viewing you as a burden, not a person. Every time you bend to the opinions of others, you give away your power. You trade your self-esteem for the approval of others, and this is a one-way street. Now understand this. Pleading may seem like a way to create connection, but it actually destroys your relationships. Social exchange theory teaches us that interactions are based on a cost-benefit analysis. When you lower yourself, others notice. They don't see a person, they see an opportunity. And who becomes the prisoner of this dynamic? You. Machiavelli said it's better to be feared than loved, and this resonates in your life. Love is fickle, fear commands respect. Imagine yourself in a meeting. You are surrounded by colleagues who speak assertively, occupying the space. You hesitate. What happens? Respect disappears. You realize that each yes you give is a sign of weakness, as if you were wearing a straitjacket. People do not respect us because we are nice. They respect those who assert themselves. When you take a stand, the looks change. The voices quiet down. You become the center of attention, but for the right reasons. Your worth cannot depend on external validation. This relentless quest for applause diminishes your authenticity. Every time you say yes when you want to say no, a part of you shatters. And if you cling to what others think of you, you become at the mercy of their judgments. How do you rise from this trap? You must start with self-assertion. Say no firmly and clearly. Train your voice. But it's not just about speaking. Your body and posture must convey that command too. Stand tall, eyes fixed. Each refusal is a victory. In doing so, you reignite your dignity, and the respect of others begins to return. Understand, your authenticity should be armor, not a mask. When you put yourself first, the dynamic of interaction shifts. People respect those who value themselves, therefore reclaim your pride. Be aware that emotional manipulation cannot reach you if you consider yourself on your own terms. Power begins with you. Own your truth and watch respect materialize around you. Have you ever stopped to think about how silence is a weapon? In the balance of power, it weighs more than empty words. The philosopher Machiavelli said, "The stain of wisdom lies in knowing when to speak and when to be silent." Silence becomes a shield in a world dominated by anxious voices. Speaking up can become a burden. Every word spoken can undermine your respect. Every extra syllable is a sign of weakness. When you choose to be silent, your presence resonates. What does this mean? It means you can be the guardian of your own dignity. This silent presence is not passive, it is strong. Creating space for silence fosters curiosity and discomfort. In meetings, when everyone is talking, you don't need to rush to fill the silence. Your silence is your strategy. It says, "I'm here and you should pay attention." Each pause carries the weight of a warning. Now understand this. Strengthening your inner guardian requires practice. Daily routines shape your presence. When you wake up, look in the mirror. Affirm, "I am worthy of respect." Let that word resonate within you. Use this phrase whenever fear tries to silence you. Prepare for the day, not just physically but mentally. Silence is both a state of mind and a tool. The practice of silence starts in communication. Don't rush to respond. Allow others to finish their thoughts. Observe. Between each interaction, silence is a breath. When someone seeks your validation, stand firm. Don't react with words, but with your presence. What others are saying goes far beyond the actual words. Decode what is left unsaid. Each hesitation, every glance averted is a clue. You should cultivate daily rituals that reaffirm your power. When you commit to your projects, take pauses. Feel the strength of silence. Instead of asking for permission, assert your position. Create moments where only your presence communicates, a posture of confidence, a steady gaze. Make silence your armor in every interaction. Respect doesn't need to be demanded. It should be inherent to your essence. Your will to assert yourself begins with self-respect. Remember this. True power lies in the certainty that you don't need words to be heard. The dignity of a silent presence is indescribable. And if there's a mantra for your journey, let it be this: I am worthy. My silence is power. What are you willing to sacrifice to gain respect? Have you noticed that you often sacrifice your dignity for the approval of others? The path to transformation begins by letting go of that need. When you trade the desire for attention for the search for self-respect, everything changes. But this change requires courage, the courage to expose yourself, to be vulnerable. It is in recognizing your weaknesses that you find your true strength. So let me be clear, vulnerability is not weakness, it is power. Machiavelli taught that rulers should never show weakness to their subjects. You must act the same way. Your authenticity must be your strength. Stopping the hunt for applause from those who feed off your insecurity is imperative. Those who simply wait for your silence do not deserve your respect. Face this. Your voice should be the first to be heard. When you allow yourself to be authentic, you create a true connection. Every time you have the chance to assert yourself, do it. Don't hide behind comfortable smiles or empty phrases. Saying no is just as important as a sincere yes. You shouldn't worry about whether others will be satisfied. Respect is earned at the cost of your authenticity. And as Machiavelli wisely said, he who cannot govern must be governed. Build an image of yourself that demands respect. Train your gaze, train your posture. When you enter a room, be there with the authority of someone who values themselves. Eyes should turn towards you, not because you ask for recognition, but because you assert yourself. Respect doesn't need to be begged for, it is claimed. You shouldn't be a shadow, you should be the light that captivates. On this path, active listening becomes your ally. Listen to your inner voice. Pay attention to what you truly want. Every hesitation, every glance diverted tells a story. Learn to discern between truth and manipulation. And when you encounter that, don't hesitate to showcase your worth. That recognition of self propels the evolution of self-validation. The transformation of your character will reflect in your relationships. When your presence radiates respect, others have no choice but to recognize your value. Now you must choose. Do you want to be another face in the crowd or the person everyone respects? Reclaim your power. Your authenticity is the key. You don't need to ask for a seat. You simply need to occupy it. Have you ever wondered why the relentless search for attention often results in disdain? Look around you and notice how superficiality poisons respect. Every time you lower your value for the sake of approval, you become someone that people disregard. Machiavelli warned that appearances can be deceiving, and that is a devastating truth. What you have to offer is not a plea, but your authenticity. Now understand this. Overcoming that need for validation is essential. By stopping the begging for attention, you reclaim your dignity. And this journey starts with a simple step, saying no. When you stand your ground, the eyes turn to you. Respect returns. There is no room for timidity. Your posture should exude confidence. Keep your head high, and your words should carry weight. Acknowledging your truth is an act of bravery. Believing that you have something valuable to offer is your armor. Every time fear creeps in, take a deep breath and affirm, I am worthy of respect. This mindset puts you in control. Silence becomes a powerful tool. When everyone is shouting for attention, your silence stands out. It's unsettling, and that's where the transformation occurs. Remember, your presence should be a magnet. When you value yourself, respect becomes inevitable. Submission only prolongs your pain. Machiavelli said it's better to be feared than loved. This holds true in the dynamics of relationships. When you become someone who demands respect, others have no choice but to yield. Reclaim your power. Respect is not a commodity you should beg for, it is your right. When you assert yourself, the world responds. Every yes you give when you really want to shout no is a closed window to your value. Eliminate the need to please. When you assert yourself, authenticity flourishes. And now, a call to action. If you feel this transformation calling you, give this video a thumbs up, subscribe, and activate the notification bell. You can't afford to stay in the shadows of doubt. Genuine respect is earned. From today on, make your life a reflection of your true essence. You are worthy. It's time to claim your place.